This is the Stupid Things for Love podcast. I am here with the one, the only Sean from Texas, with no clear sense of purpose or where we're going, but thanks for being here anyway. Do you want to hear my day so far? Nova, my daughter, 10-year-old daughter, is obsessed with getting a phone. This isn't funny, but she's obsessed with getting a phone. And we're like, no, like I got her an Apple Watch so she can kind of like text her friends. She can text mom, she can text me. And, but she's so fixated on a phone in a way that like, it's scary. She anyway, like, you know, this morning I brought her to the bus and put her on the bus and, you know, she really started panicking and like kind of have an emotional moment because one of her friends, Steven, got a phone yesterday and got on the bus with a phone, and like her jealousy is so intense. But anyway, in her text, she's like, if I don't get a phone, she's like, I'm gonna kill myself. And like she's fucking 10. And I like, there's so much of it where I'm like, I didn't have this on the schedule for like a few years. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think like all that. I just didn't think life would be so heavy at 10 years old. You know that like.
We didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy is because she doesn't even have it yet, and she's already like treating it like that.
It's like it really is.
It's like what? You haven't even like had the drug yet.
Yeah,
She's
like the
already
junkie's never
addicted
tried
to it.
heroin. She's already ready to like burn everything down to try it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, what would happen if you get it?
It's so ingrained now into our society that you know it's just
I hate it.
a part of everything.
I'm ready. I'm like, where's the nearest Amish community? I'm joining. I'm signing up. Like they're doing it right.
There should be like a horror movie where it's just like somebody that's just like trying to get away from their stupid phone.
Yeah.
Just like
I know she doesn't really realize like the gravity of what she's saying when she says the like, I'll kill myself stuff, you know, that it's, you know, she's just a kid pushing buttons, you know, she'll be like, oh, well, I'll, you know, throw away my stuffies. Like I'll do that. You know what I mean? Like, I think she's just like flirting with the electricity of it, you know, and kind of feeling that it's charged. But man, it knocks
like
the
a
wind out
mean
of you.
thing to say.
Yeah, just saying like, cause she knows it's like a powerful thing to say. So she's just kind of like wielding that power.
Testing the waters.
Yeah, just like seeing like, will you react to this? Like, will you react to this? Cause like everything I've tried so far, like hasn't gotten you a break. But like, what if I throw this out there? But fuck, it's so hard to know.
What was your repercussion after she said that?
I was like, I didn't want to react any differently than anything. You know, I didn't want her to feel that like she got me with it, you know? So, I mean, I wrote a message back to be like, I'm so sorry, you know, like this, you're having a really hard day. Like, I love you, you know, I'll see you at the bus stop, you know, when you get home from school.
That was good.
You think I did okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I'm just like, I'm here, I love you, but like
That's like a hard thing, man, you know? Trying to figure out that response, and it's important to feel like, I don't know, man, like, even with suicide in general, I feel like there's such a stigmata about it that needs to be broken, you know, with like how people feel ashamed about it. I don't think there's anything really ashamed about it, but it's not something that you should joke about, you know? I mean, for a lot of people, it's a heavy feeling that, you know, that they can't beat, so they just decide to give up. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's a bad thing, really.
I don't know. I mean, this is not where I was going to do a podcast episode about, but it's it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I fully reserve the right to like choose my way out. and but obviously, like, when kids and teenagers, even just like using the word suicide in the same sentence as like a child, it's it's like it's such a big thing, and it's like that sadness of like that magnitude is so powerful. It's like, yeah.
I remember
Obviously,
when I first started, I feel like I was probably like around 8 or 9 too, when I
when you
first
started thinking about
started thinking
suicide,
about suicide. Yeah.
and what is like,
It was just like,
because obviously, like you have tattooed across your face, "I want to die," and I've given you a hard time about it forever because I love you, and it hurts me to read that. But what is like, how does suicide, the concept of suicide, like live in your awareness?
well, I feel like there's really like, um, I almost feel like it's natural sometimes. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I feel like it's kind of natural to think about suicide and death and killing yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I try to think, like, I try to keep it more natural and not such a, like, I feel like in my own life, death is just a lot different. It's not something that's like, something I understand that I can't really comprehend what it is, but it's not something that I should fear as much. And I feel like, in general, like, I feel like suicide for me is just like, sort of just like, you just kind of just want to stop playing the game and you just want to opt out, basically. And I know there's like a lot of, religions and other things in society that we have that kind of make it more of a selfish thing, and they make it more of a, something that's very frowned upon in a lot of religions, and but not all cultures. I mean, like, look at Japan and some other cultures, like, they actually, it's different, for everywhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like in my own life, I feel like that, it's definitely a heavy decision, because you only are going to be in this existence in this organic form for just a little millisecond of space time. So
Yeah, I mean, I've always,
but
I've always had, a similar view with suicide, in that I've always had, like a similar view in suicide. I've been like, look, if you don't want to if you want to get off the ride,
yeah.
and thought about suicide more as a reflection of a person's environment than the person. It's if you have teenagers killing themselves, that's just like, that's an indicator that like that society, like that way of caring for children isn't working, and it, less than like that kid was broken, like their environment was broken, that like, but that, like, but I'm a parent now, and having like a 10-year-old girl just even play with that concept, immediately.
And even thinking about it, or
Like the fact
just
that that's even like an idea in her head,
Yeah.
is like, as like a thing that possibly, it knocks the wind out of me. And all of a sudden, like, it's hard. I mean, like, obviously, people older in life, like terminal illness. I mean, my mom, she had cancer for 8 years. And when I was 15, cancer, she died of cancer. But, if you go to the hour by hour moment, like, she took her own life, like she stocked up all her pain meds for a month and then like took them all at once, while in the hospital, not being able to like sit up straight from all the tumors, so it's like, you could say she killed herself, but it's,
Yeah.
she just chose the moment.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much dignity in that.
I mean, I have so many relatives. It's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
all throughout my family. I mean, even my dad, he just like, he was tired of being in the hospital. He just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
He didn't like actually like, I mean, he kind of unplugged the machine that was keeping him alive, but it's like, I don't know, it's everybody's own decision in the end. I feel like sometimes that it's just like such a, bummer for the people that are left. And, when people, are in that heat of the moment and they're having a hard time with everything, they just kind of, it's still hard for everybody else because they love them and they want to be around them. So,
but it's interesting how, I mean, there's probably a million people that are more qualified to talk on this subject than me, but it isn't like when you hear about that, all of a sudden there's this sense of like blame and shame around like the person who killed themselves versus like, but like what was their, family situation like what, you know what I mean? Like
why do we always do that though? We always try to figure out like,
because I think it's just like desperately trying to prevent anyone else from doing it, so it's like society, we shame them, but it, but I think of, I think of you a lot because I love you and you're my family, but
same
as an artist, like you, for as long as I've known you and from like the stories you told me about your childhood, like you draw, like you draw some intense scenes, like your art is, there'll be like car crashes, plane crashes, like suicides, dismemberment, like all this, these super intense, like violent acts, like a lot of death and but there's such, I've never seen your artwork as you. Like I really see you as like a mirror for the world, in the same way, like I know you well enough to like, you're not a dark person, but you create fucking dark artwork because you're being affected by a really dark world.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I just feel like that's what like my interpretation of what art should be. I don't know. I just like that, and then I kind of picked a theme that I thought would always be relevant, which is death.
Yeah.
And I'm also just like I said, like when I first started thinking about like death in general and the darker side of life, when you grasp that as a young child, I feel like I was just more attracted to that, the darker side of life in general. I just felt like it was so much cooler,
But it didn't, I mean, I relate to it a little bit.
I don't know.
I found it really comforting. I mean, obviously, I've been drawing skulls for a long time. Like, since, I mean, I was carving skulls into my desk when I was in 6th grade and kind of never really quit, just figured out a way to build a life around it. But I think, and I've had to explain, why I draw skulls in various mission statements and, like press releases for exhibitions, stuff like that. Like
it's The Rock,
I know, but it, like if I really think about like why did I find such a connection with like death and imagery as a teenager?
It's comforting.
But why is it comforting? And I really think it's because, like I was living at home, with a mom that was sick. Like I felt like the stakes were life and death. Like I was like, guys, shitty things happen. Like really shitty things happen. Like people die, people get sick. And I didn't see that reality reflected in like pop culture at all. Like I was like, everybody's fucking talking like everything's fine, but it's not, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, there was, so I'd listen to fucking Slayer and, like all this metal stuff, but like the imagery of that, like the skulls and the death was acknowledging the shitty parts of life in a way that no one else was. And it made me trust it more,
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, like I feel like, yeah, it's dark and it's weird and it's satanic, but I feel like they're being more honest than the people who are just talking about cupcakes and rainbows.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain realness to it. It's the only thing that's real. I've said that for
Death.
Yeah. It's
but I do want to like I do
I don't know what we're supposed to talk about.
I don't know what we're supposed to talk about either. I mean, I get there's a bit of memento mori, but like, like the other side of memento
I get
mori.
it though. You don't want like, yeah.
And acknowledging death is important, but only if you kind of take that acknowledgement and celebrate the moment that we have a little bit more.
I mean, I don't even know why she's even saying that in the beginning, because like she gives me shit for my tattoos, and
Yeah.
Nova's
She busts
several
your
times.
balls.
She's like,
Why do you do that, Sean?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah.
So I'm gonna be like, what are you talking about? She is totally just pulling your chain too, man.
I know. She's just pushing buttons, but
so what are you gonna do? You're gonna like,
I'm not gonna buy her a phone.
Yeah.
Like I can't. That tactic can't work.
Get her a walkie-talkie or something.
I don't know. We're just gonna become Amish. And like, fine. I was like, let's move to Ohio, and then I found out people in Ohio have phones too. So I don't know where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what else? You know what I was thinking about the other day? A story that I was telling somebody. We were talking about weed, because because you were smoking weed the other day, and Courtney Holt, our mutual friend, was like, "Oh, is Sean smoking weed again?" I was like, "Yeah, but only the weed that we grew," and we were talking about your relationship with weed, and I remembered the time when you and I basically, like, Edison Chen, a buddy of mine, set up this like big kind of creative conference exhibition thing in Shanghai, China. And, he wanted to do like a pop-up of our tattoo shop in Shanghai, like mainland China. And it was so cool. So they flew us all out there. It was you, it was me, it was Spider, Tati. Anyway, we were all like flying out there to do tattoos.
That was so amazing.
It was so fun.
I just tattooed another one of the guys that I tattooed out there, actually.
Really?
On Friday or some shit, yeah.
But I remember...
He's like some
'cause
famous...
that was
he's a famous Chinese director, dude. And like, he's just a really cool guy. And he got the rap sucks.
No way!
Yeah, and everybody was giving us shit.
That's
and now
amazing.
Everybody like agrees now. I'm
Everything.
like, yeah, well... we saw it coming, man.
They're like, country's big. Now they're getting rap sucks tattoos.
Yeah.
But I remember we went over there, and that was the first time you'd ever left the country. Like, first time you ever, because I remember I had to go through all this stuff to get you a passport.
Yeah.
And it was the first time you ever had a passport, first time ever leaving the country.
Oh boy.
And but we fly out there, and it's like a long flight. The jet lag's horrible. We all get there. We're checking into like this fancy hotel. It was like the Mandarin Oriental or something like that. But anyway, I remember, we finally get there after like this.
That's like the fanciest hotel I'd probably have ever stayed at.
It was so swish.
So crazy.
But it was like a 14-hour flight, and then we have to deal with like customs and immigration and like getting a cab to the hotel. And we get there, and it was like 5 p.m, and we were all jet lagged. But I was like, guys, let's try to stay up till 8 o'clock. Let's just like, if we just stay up, then maybe we can like fall asleep, get on schedule. Everybody go drop their bags. Let's meet up for dinner, and and then we'll try to stay up. So anyway, so everybody goes to the rooms. They drop off their bags, and then like 10 minutes later, we're all meeting in the lobby, and I was like, wait, where's Sean? Like, do you know what room Sean in? It's like 670. So I go up to your room, and I knock on the door, and you open the door, and this cloud of weed smoke comes out of the hotel room, and I was like, Sean, we've been in mainland China for like 45 minutes. Like, how did you find weed in the fucking like Mandarin Oriental in 45 minutes? Like, how did you find weed? And how did you find the weed, Sean?
I brought it.
I know. What the fuck? I was like, do you know like what? And I was like, if they catch you with weed, like you're gonna spend the rest of your life in jail.
So here's what I was thinking.
Okay.
First of all, nobody told me that it was bad in China to have pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Japan.
That might be on me. I'm sorry I didn't explain that.
I didn't know that part. And then the other part was like, I'm like going somewhere on a journey. It's almost like rude not to bring some California bud because we got the best shit in the world. So I wanted to share it with all of my companions that I met on the journey, basically.
But you realize, like,
But
in going through customs, if you took all 200 people on this airplane and lined them up and just said, pick which one is the drug dealer,
well,
they're gonna think
that's where the plan gets smooth. That's why you got a girl. And yeah, in this case, it was Tati, so I gave the weed to her.
Oh my God.
And she carried it on for me.
Because she looks like a soccer mom.
I mean, she looks a little bit better than me. At least she doesn't have "I want to die" on her face, right?
There is a parallel universe where you and Tati got caught, and you're spending the rest of your life in jail.
So that was funny. Like, I was just talking to the guy too that I tattooed again, because I was telling him, I was like, yeah, it was so crazy. I was just like, I was smoking in front of the cops too, man. Like, they didn't even know.
Because they're like, there's no way that guy's crazy enough to smoke weed.
You know what I mean? They just like strong cigarette. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like, nobody knew what it was even. But it was really crazy. So like, yeah, I don't know where you wanted to go with that. But like, bringing it into Japan after that.
Right.
So like, we still didn't really realize how bad it was in China. And we had all gone out that night before we were leaving to that restaurant, and we got a little tipsy, man. There was a lot of booze, and we got pretty fucked up. And then
I remember that was funny. We had like a handler there. You know,
man, we were getting wasted with them.
But I remember it was the last night. You know, we had
Master. We named him Master from the Metallica, because we listened to We listened to Master of Puppets almost the entire time while driving us around through China. And he loved it, man. I don't think he was just like Master.
He was just working for a living?
Really loved it. So we started calling him Master because that was like his favorite song. And
but I remember we were there and it was like our last night, and I was like, okay, this is our last night. We finally finished working. We want to go for like the best, like Chinese, like Shanghai, like what's like the most like typical, just like really good Shanghai food. Like we want to have like the real local experience. And they're like, I got you. And we drove like all the way across town, and we go to this place, and we walk up and they hand me a menu, and I start dying laughing because it's Din Tai Fung in Shanghai. Like literally there's one in Glendale. You know,
right.
I was like,
yeah, I remember that.
I could get this at the Americana.
Like we went there too, and
it was good. It was delicious.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, we're doing this.
Yeah,
but it was hilarious.
That was funny.
But yeah, but so then you proceeded to bring the weed to Japan.
We got really wasted and didn't know where to put it. So like Tati just put it in her bag, like her check bag.
Right.
The remaining. Because I had them rolled up into joints, like a whole bunch of joints in a cigarette pack, basically. Right. And not even in a Ziploc bag.
They never think to open a cigarette pack.
Anything, you know what I mean? Like, and basically, so we get to Japan, but like on the way there, it was like a huge altercation. They didn't want to let me take my tattoo tubes on the plane in China. We were super hungover.
They didn't want to let you leave with them?
They were like, you can't get on the plane with these tubes.
Wow.
And I was like, no fucking way I'm leaving these tubes here. I've had these since 2003 or 4 is when I bought those tubes. Yeah. I was like, I'm not leaving them here. I've had these forever. I can't leave them here. No way. I'm not leaving my tubes. I'm not getting on the plane. And you know, and like you're gonna have to. And then like it was like this whole thing of arguing with the people. Finally, they let us on. It was like a really bumpy ride. We're in the very back of the plane. All of a sudden, we get all these little things for signing over the custom shit. And there's a ton of shit, man, where they're just talking about weed. And we're like, should we have had that a little bit better, maybe? Like, you know, we're now starting to think about it. It's like, well, it's kind of too late. So like, we're going, we get off the plane, right? I'm like going over to the baggage claim, waiting for our bags to come out, and Tati's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I was just gonna sit there and wait for the bags. I'm sitting there checking out my phone, kind of looking down. All of a sudden I see this little cute dog. It's like a little beagle, and it like comes up and starts sniffing my leg kind of.
Yeah.
And it's just so cute. I didn't even like realize at first that it had like a little vest.
Oh yeah.
And then I like kind of followed the vest to a leash and followed the leash up, and it was like, oh look, it's like I think that's a cop. You know what I mean? And this dog is just like sniffing me.
Oh my God.
And that's when I was like, oh shit, man, this is not good.
Yeah, that's really
And
not good.
and then they like, and it was like going around smelling every person that was waiting for the bags.
Yeah.
And then they went over to the actual, where the conveyor belt was, and they were smelling all the bags coming out of the baggage claim.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh fuck, this is not good.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking crazy. It was like a fucking movie, man. Like all of a sudden, like they're like going around in a circle, smelling the bags and smelling all the people. And I'm watching them come around. All of a sudden, Tati comes out of the bathroom, and then bam, here comes her bag right then. And she just goes over and grabs it. And it's just like right as this dog was coming back around, come back at us.
Like it's choreographed.
And I was just like, I didn't even tell her what was happening or anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was sweating bullets. And then we get to the next checkpoint. And of course, this is why I gave it to her. They let her right through.
Right.
And I got fucking strip searched all the way,
Really?
torn down. Oh, yeah.
Like pants down, everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They took everything apart. But yeah, that was close. But we still kind of didn't know it was that dangerous still.
Yeah.
So like, it was funny. Like I was just like on the streets of Japan smoking a joint, and everybody was being really weird, looking at me and shit. And I was just like, is this the weed, man? Or is like everyone like staring at me funny, man? Yeah. And then like I was talking to my friend Ichibe over at Tokyo Three Tides, and I was like, yeah, man, I brought some weed from California. Let's smoke. I've been smoking. And he was like, you did what? You brought weed here? And he was like freaking out. And he was like, dude, you cannot, bring weed here. This is like very, very bad. Like you could gotten caught.
Yeah.
And basically from then on, I had to like carry it around inside of a candy wrapper thing. So, but
Or just get rid of it.
Yeah. Or I did. I smoked it all.
There's a guy who I want to bring onto the podcast so bad. I have bugged him. What was his name?
Tommy Chong.
No, Tommy Chong. I mean, Tommy Chong's great. I feel like Tommy Chong would call me back.
I want to hang out with him.
He's awesome. No, there's this guy. I did a talk with him one time at Soho House. It was like random. A friend of ours set it up. But he's one of the coolest guys. Like, he's so cool, he doesn't give a shit about, like, he doesn't want attention, but I'm like, hey, like, I want to do this podcast. And he's literally like, why? I was like, but yeah, but I love your story so much. And he's like, no. He's like, he's just like, he's over it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if anyone acknowledges that he's the coolest guy. But he was this weed smuggler throughout the 70s and 80s. I think he got arrested for like he had like a tugboat full of weed that coming from Thailand. It was like Thai stick. Like, remember, like, I don't know if you remember, like old school days, there was like Acapulco Gold and like, anyway, Thai
Panama
stick.
Red.
Yeah.
That one was always thrown around back in the day. Like,
but he was like smuggling all this weed from Thailand, and it was like 15 tons, like some insane like amount of weed that he got caught with. Anyway, he got sent to jail for like 15 years, then got out and was still like, had spent his whole life in drug culture, but didn't, and was trying to figure out like, what do I do now? Anyway, and I'm sorry, like I might be getting some of the story wrong because I'm trying to remember the conversation we had, but the parts that are true is that he invented a thing called the Whizzinator. And the Whizzinator made more money off this invention than he did ever smuggling weed, which was basically, it's a fake rubber dick. It's so you can pass drug tests. It's for pot smokers, back when like jobs would test you randomly. Mm-hmm. So basically...
God, that was like crazy, right?
It's insane.
You don't even have to think about that as much anymore.
I know. But anyway, so he would sell you a rubber dick full of fake urine. So basically... you tuck it in your underwear so that, like, if you go to do the test, you're pulling a wiener out of your drawers and you squeeze it and fake piss comes out of the top.
So they watching you.
So they're watching you do it, but it looks like you're pissing, and it fills up the cup, and you hand it to them, but it tests clean. And he made so much money selling fake dicks filled with fake piss. And I was just like, you are a true entrepreneur. Like, I don't want to read Steve Jobs's autobiography. I want to read yours. You know, like,
which is crazy because it's like, dude, not only is it like, you know, fake urine or some other urine, but it's like you even went all the way to the penis part too that you're
because if you're like if it's a parole officer or something, they might sit there and actually like I need to see it come out of your dick.
Like that's
I need to see it leave your
parole
penis.
Officer, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It's just like,
but imagine them being like, it looks kind of rubber. I gotta squeeze that thing. I gotta feel that, make sure it's real.
Yeah, they're like, is that a real pecker boy?
Yeah, with the Whizzinator. I was like, you're brilliant. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe we'll do an episode with him if I can drag him out of hiding.
Where are those now? Do they still sell them?
I don't think they still, you know, not that many people get drug tests. But I remember he actually got shut down for that because people in the army were using it. And there was some, you know, to pass their drug tests. And there was something about like, because it was like the military, people were cheating the military with it. Then it was like there's some different federal jurisdiction, so like then they could shut him down. So he had to shut down the business, but
damn.
But he did well up until then.
That seems like something you would see like in the back of like an Easy Rider from back
I'm
in the
sure,
day
absolutely, yeah. Easy Rider magazine or like High Times.
I love all those old ads with like the thick black, you know,
the little black and white ones, yeah. Like in the back of like martial arts magazines, all the little like nunchucks and like the claws to climb trees and all that stuff.
You got to wonder, like, you know, somebody like basically just, that was all hand drawn probably back then.
Yeah.
You know?
And photocopied.
Somebody did that.
A dozen times.
Yeah.
I had actually one of my favorite clients when I first started tattooing at Picture Machine in San Francisco. There was this group of guys and girls. It was like, there were 2 girls and like this crew of guys. They were all snowboarders. Like they'd come into Northern California and they go snowboarding up in like, you know, was it Lake Tahoe? And then, you know, when that was the season, they'd hit Colorado, but then they'd go down to like South America. They'd go to the Alps. Like all they did was follow the snow. And, you know, like the second or third time that they came through town, because they would roll hard. You know, they came in with all this cash and like wanted to get all these tattoos. And I was like, are you guys in a band? Like, what's going on? You know, like every couple of months you come through with all this money and just like get tattooed. Like, how does your life work? Because I would like to sign up for your life. And they kind of were like, you know, we just kind of, and finally it came out that they were smuggling hash. So basically,
I was about to say, like, how are they making money?
They'd go to Spain and, you know, like Morocco and like buy a bunch of hash, and everybody would like shove some balloons up their ass, and then they'd fly to the States, you know, and like sell it all. And that's they just traveled around with hash in their ass, paying for their snowboarder dreams. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like,
fucking love hash, man.
It's pretty great.
But
I have some in my fridge. I should give you.
Oh, dude, I would love it.
Like really beautiful Moroccan hash. I'll get you some. I
love it, man. Oh, there's not enough hash going around here.
People don't do it. It's very Euro.
Yeah.
But those guys, I mean, they were already heroes in my mind at that point. But one of the things that like really like convinced me that they're living life correctly is so that like that was, you know, like this is like the late 90s, and when the economy crashed in Argentina, you know, like the Argentinian currency went to like nothing. So all of a sudden, like you had these really wealthy people who had like, you know, fancy cars, fancy houses, fancy yachts, but all of a sudden all their money was worth nothing on the global market. And so they were like desperate for US dollars. So they'd be like, you know, you could buy Lamborghinis, you know, for like nothing from them if you had US cash. So they flew down there and bought this yacht for like 30 grand, $30,000 US, and literally just figured out how to sail it, sailed it up to New York and flipped it for like 200.
Wow.
And then they ended up like doing that one more time, like going down there, buying it and sailing it up there. And I was like, that's like, I quit.
That's a cool little.
It was a good hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just got
little
to wait
side
for
game there.
an economy to crash and swoop in there.
Yeah, and it's fun because you get to sail it back.
Yeah, you get to learn how to sail, like figure it out.
That'd be cool.
They were fun. They're definitely one of those clients where I'm like, where are they now? What are they like right now? What are those guys doing? I hope they're not in jail.
Yeah.
I want them like.
That's not the worst though either.
Yeah, I mean they probably figure out some hustle in jail too.
I mean, jail sucks, but prison's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all.
I've never been to prison, but
Yeah.
I hate jail. I don't ever want to go there again.
What have you gotten? Any good arrest stories?
Oh yeah, too many. We could tell on arrest stories. How many times have you been arrested?
I've been arrested. I mean, I've just gotten arrested for little shit. You know, I remember getting arrested for like trying to buy alcohol with a fake ID in Texas, and then like driving with suspended license. I spent the night in jail for walking my dog without a leash in fucking Brooklyn. That was some dumb shit.
Brooklyn was the grossest jail, I thought.
Oh,
It was
like
so gross.
the like booking, like the holding cells in Kings County jail suck.
Talking or bringing up something current. I know they were talking about that P. Diddy was in Brooklyn jail.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh,
That's rough.
dude,
I
that
remember being in a Brooklyn holding cell, and it was me and two other dudes who were fucking tweakers. Like, so they've been on meth for weeks, and just, you know, like maybe 4 teeth between the two of them, and but they were in there for like stealing copper from whatever the telephone company is, Pac Bell or whatever. It's not Con Ed because that's out here.
Yeah. I know
Anyway,
what you mean.
but yeah, they were stealing like climbing telephone pole wires, clipping the wires, and like
Taking the
selling
whole
the
wire.
copper,
Yeah.
for scrap.
That's so crazy.
And he got caught with a shopping cart full of cable, but it had the phone company's logo on it, and they're like, it literally says right there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking dark.
They should have stripped it themselves.
Strip it. As soon as you get the telephone wires down, strip them immediately before you
Yeah,
put
you
in your
gotta have
shopping
somebody
cart.
with that machine and wind it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even go to I didn't even like go to sleep or sit down in Brooklyn jail. I stood up the whole time for like a few days until I got arranged.
I sat down, but I was not eating that bologna sandwich.
Oh, it was so gross in Brooklyn jail, dude.
Yeah.
But I think one of the funniest, I have 2 funny stories, I guess. Nothing's funny about jail, but 2 of them kind of stick out. This one time I went to jail. Well, it's funny. It starts off with tattoos, actually, because it was on a Friday the 13th. It was in February.
Right.
And me and my girlfriend at the time tattooed 13s on each other. I did one on her, and she did one on me. And then we went out that night. And I just started talking to this girl. Really liked her a lot. And we had an amazing, fun night. And then whenever she left, I went my separate ways. And I can't really even recall really why I even went to jail. But I got arrested.
That's an important detail.
I know. I don't know why I can't remember that part. I was really drunk, you know.
Okay.
I think about 90% of the time when I actually got arrested, it was mainly for talking shit to the cops.
Yeah.
I just don't like them, you know what I mean? And I always open my mouth too much.
I can see you're good at so many things, but de-escalating a confrontation with the cops, I wouldn't put it at the top of your resume.
So like, especially after I've been drinking, right?
Yeah.
So like, basically I ended up going to jail that night. I was really, more or less, it was funny too because it was a Friday 13th, and I was like, wow, this fucking tattoo didn't work at all. You know, I like instantly am like getting bad karma already. And then the next day was Valentine's Day.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was
14th.
like, oh shit, like, how am I going to tell this girl? Because like this was back before.
Were you not with her when you got arrested?
No, I just had, like, I dropped her
left.
off and then
Wow.
I got into trouble real quick. That's
And
why,
so she
that's
thinks-
why women are so important in men's lives, man, because we're crazy and we're lost and we just
The moment
go
you leave
crazy.
us alone,
As soon as, yeah, man,
we
we're
break
too
out
wild,
in handcuffs. Man. Yeah.
Women teach men to say no. You know what I mean? So like fucking, I was like, I didn't even have her phone number memorized. Otherwise, I would have been able to at least call her.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to call you for Valentine's Day. I'm in jail.
Right.
Or call her from jail and be like, happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, guys, I was telling the
Because if you
cops.
get arrested on a Friday, you're not getting out till Monday.
I know, it's going to be like a few days.
You got to sit
so
there
she's
till
like,
Monday morning.
She's going to go like at least 3 days.
And you're just ghosting her.
Without any word.
After you get matching tattoos.
Yeah. And she's going to be like, wow, man, this guy didn't even call me
You're
on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So like I was finally made it to Central Booking, which is like all the way down there by the World Trade Center or whatever.
Street, yeah.
And they were taking my mugshot, and usually they don't give you your mugshot; they keep it for record shit. I was like, dude, come on, you gotta give me this mugshot so I can at least prove to my girlfriend that I went to jail, so I don't get in trouble for the Valentine's Day.
And you're saying this on Valentine's Day. Yeah.
So I was like, please, like, and the guys, they had sympathy for me because I was like, dude, I really like this girl a lot.
Oh.
Like, can you please, like, I don't want to like mess this up. And they're like, okay, you can have it. You know?
Yeah.
So I spent all that time in jail. I remember thinking like, man, next time I'm gonna like memorize her number, so if this ever happens again, you know.
Yeah.
And since then, I've even tattooed girls' numbers on me, so like
just in case.
Just in case. But like, so like when I got out of jail finally, it was like, you know, Monday or Tuesday after I finally went to court or whatever, and I got released, and I gave her my mugshot as a Valentine's Day card.
Aww.
And I was like, happy Valentine's Day. I'm sorry I was in jail.
Was that the first time? But she didn't know until then where you were?
Yeah. And she thought that was like the coolest thing ever, man. It was like, I thought I was going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But she thought it was absolutely so cool. Yeah.
See, you're romantic.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest Valentine's Day card I've ever given anybody. And then the other really funny jail story I got is like one time, I mean, every time I've gone to jail it's been kind of crazy, you know, but like
when you never wake up and just be like, all right, today 3:00
it's
I'm gonna go to jail.
just such a weird experience, you know.
I
felt like each time I went it was like I was dropping acid in some weird acid though, you know what I mean. It was like a weird trip, man. But like this time I do remember it was because I had like my feet on the seat of a subway and I'd fallen asleep and these cops were like fucking with me and they were trying to give me a ticket, and then I started talking shit and so they like took me to jail. And this was in Union Square Station, and they have like a little mini jail there.
Oh, really?
If you ever
Union Station?
In the actual subway station underground. And I was in that holding cell waiting to get arranged to go down to Central. And basically I was really fucking hungry and I was really like drunk, and it was like it's gonna be a long fucking weekend because like I can't eat any of that food or any of that shit. I'm just gonna be like starving. It's gonna be crazy, right? And I was like, and
that's how you got into intermittent fasting.
I was like talking to the cops, and they were like, they really like tattoos and shit. By the way, like all the time, like after the cops like would arrest me, they would always try to like be my friend and shit. I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like you just arrested me.
You want to be cool? Let me out.
Like now you want to like talk about tattoos and shit? Like fuck you, dude. But like these guys were like kept talking about tattoos and shit, and then they said something about how they're like, hey man, like do you need anything from, I'm gonna go up to McDonald's real quick and grab a coffee, do you want one? And I was like, hey dude,
yeah,
can you get me something from there?
Yeah.
I obviously wasn't vegan at the time. I was kind of walking the razor's edge back then, and the cop was like, he's like, okay, I'll get you some McDonald's or whatever. So I gave him some money and he got me a number one. And I got to eat that in jail, and that was like pretty cool. I was like behind
the bar. Which is
bar,
testimony to how shitty like jail is, where you're like, yeah, but I ate a combo meal number one.
Dude, like I was behind the bar, you know, like didn't even get to watch. Wait, maybe he did give me something to like put on my hands. I can't
Wash
remember.
your hand, yeah.
Yeah, maybe like a baby wipe or something. I can't remember. I don't think so. Probably not. But
I remember-
I also bought some food for the guys next to me, and I swear to God, this guy next to me was like Mickey Rourke or some shit. He like peed on the cops. Like,
No way.
through the bars. Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, dude, you rule, man. That guy was so cool. And they like beat him. A whole bunch of cops went in there and just beat the shit out of him after he pissed on him.
Oh, dude, I remember
But I bought a McDonald's too, and I was like, dude, all right, well, you're just gonna pee on the cops? I would have saved my money from buying you a meal. But
I remember there is a tattooer who you and I both know, who I won't name, in New York, who at one point in the night, I don't know what, but like, he just goes into this primal mind frame where he just pees on things. Like I have been out with him where
I've known a lot of tattooers like that.
I mean, he was the first person I ever saw do the thing where, like, you know, if the bathroom's busy, you just like, you know, pull your boyhood out and like go up to the bar and order a drink, and like you just pee on the bar while you're ordering a drink. You know, it'd be just like, if you're looking them in the eye, they're not suspicious of anything. And but he would do it all the time. He would just be like, yeah, can I get, you know, like another, you know, Heineken or Corona or something? And like while
Just
they're
peeing.
making, he's like peeing on the bar.
Oh my gosh.
But he would.
I had a couple guys clients that I knew that were like that. But
Yeah. No, but I remember one time there was this, we were at this bar in the city, and there was, I mean, I don't know that anything justifies this, but they were horrible people. There was this like group of tourists, these women that were so obnoxious and just like talking shit about us. I mean, we were dirty tattooed scumbags, you know, but like, you're in our bar, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're just like Florida, you know, just anyway. Not that justifies it, but I'm just giving some context. But anyway, one of them went to the bathroom. We were at like a booth behind them, and one of them went to the bathroom, and he like reached around and like grabbed her purse, you know, from the booth, and like pulled it under the table and like pissed in it, filled it with piss, zipped it up, and like put it back over there.
Oh man.
And then we were like, all right, let's go smoke a cigarette outside or something. But the like one of the most impressive feats I've ever seen was that like he lived in Long Island, and we were like in the city. Taxi drivers don't want to take you to Long Island, and they don't have to, you know. But the deal is like, if they pick you up, they have to take you where you want to go. You know, like if they pull up and like, where are you going? And you're like, I'm going to Long Island. They're like, nope, fuck off. You know, they can drive away. But once you're in the cab, they legally have to take you to your destination. You know, they lose all right to refuse you. Anyway.
But it's so hard catching them sometimes.
Yeah, but
they
so,
don't
like,
want to take you over the bridge.
They don't want to take you there, the bridge. But so they, so we get in this cab, and it's three of us. It's me, my friend, and then another tattooer in the other window. He's in the center, and you know, so there's the little window that you talk to the cab driver through, and we get in the cab, and he like pulls away, starts driving. He's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "We're going to, you know, Wantagh, Long Island." And the driver's like, "I'm not going to Long Island." He's like, "I'm not going out there." He's like, "My shift's almost over. Like, you guys gotta, I'll let you out at the next block. You gotta find another cab." And he's like, "Fuck you. We're going to Long Island. Like, you gotta fucking take us there. We're not," you're like, he's like, "Keep that meter on. Like, we're going to fucking Long Island." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not doing it." He's like, "I'm not going to Long Island." He's like, "I gotta get home." He's like, "It's 2 a.m. And they're like yelling and fighting. And he's like, "You'll fucking go to Long Island." Anyway, the next thing I know, he's like pants down, pissing on the driver through the window of the taxi cab. It's like a fucking like 4-inch square window, and he's got his arc just right, and it's hitting the fucking driver.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then the driver knows what happened. He starts swerving, so now he's pissing over all of us and like swerving around. Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I smelled horrible, but it was worth the laugh.
I feel like all the cabs, that's probably why they smell like piss, right? But
yeah, imagine you get on that cab next. Imagine the next
like,
person he picks up is just like, "Hi, I'd like to go home, please." Has no idea the urinary violence that just happened in the back of that cab.
I used to get in cabs all the time back in the day, and they literally smelled like they had just peed like in a bottle or some shit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like
and
that
you know
sticky, rotten
they would
ballpark
have
pee.
like a ton of bottles.
I mean, you've seen
underneath
those where you like
the
go to pay them
seat.
and then you look on the floorboard and there's like,
Yeah.
a bunch of bottles
Or it
full
like
of yellow fluid.
rolls out from the back and hits your shoe.
underneath the shoe. That
yeah.
was before Ubers. before you could give them a rating.
I fucking love cabs though, man. Like that was cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's cool how New York has that, or used to have that. I don't know. Do they still have that?
I feel like it's just like a relic from like old school, like just cash culture
They still
in
have
general.
cabs though?
Yeah, they still have cabs. Yeah.
Like, is that gonna ever die though? Like,
I
is it
don't know.
Uber's
I
taking
hope
over
not.
up there?
Yeah. I mean, Uber's definitely put a dent in them, but yeah, that
They're
was
just
pretty
so
fun.
cool, man.
Just the roulette of it all. Like you never know what
I mean,
you're gonna get.
I feel like I already told you the story about how we used to always not be able to catch a cab over just the
just to Brooklyn.
the Williamsburg Bridge.
Yeah.
Back when I first lived there and we were partying down in Lower East Side, so we just had to wait at the light there in Houston and
Yeah.
wait till a dump truck would come up, and then my buddy would get on one side and I'd get on the other
yeah.
and just jump on the back and
Ride it over the bridge.
ride it over the bridge.
Yeah. Or the garbage trucks.
Yeah. I swear to God, we did that so many times.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple times where it wouldn't stop and it just kept going.
You're like, this thing's going to Long
Yeah,
Island
and
City.
then you're like, fuck, man. And then you have to cut like, well, at least then you could take the train back over or whatever. But I don't know. The trains would just, run really slow, really late. So.
Yeah.
But peeing, man, that's so funny. Like, I remember, fucking so many, like, people back in the day, just like, it was just like such a great weapon. Especially if you're a boy,
Just pee on people.
Yeah, I mean, we did it to people all the time back in the day. Like, pissed in their cars.
When you say back in the day, are we talking like
when we were like teenagers and
elementary
shit.
school? Like middle
Teenagers
school?
and shit,
Teenagers, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you're just such a little shit whenever you're back in the day, like fighting.
I mean, I definitely there's some primal like marking your territory shit that
You gotta really piss me off if I'm gonna like pee on you though. That's like some hardcore shit.
But it's even like with my son who's 7, I'm the same way. But I mean, like he would so much rather pee in the backyard than in a toilet.
It's so much greater.
It's so much fun, but I'm like, why? I will go so far out of my way to pee out in my backyard rather than just like the toilet that's right here. I'm like, it's just more fun.
Dude, everything in nature is better. Everything. Even if you're eating like a can of like chili out of the can or whatever, it's so good when you're outside in nature.
Outside, yeah.
It's so much better for some reason. Like everything.
Yeah. Anyway,
Something to think about.
I actually got to go pick up that little nature pisser from school. But thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Are you tattooing more today?
No. That's
All
it. One and done.
All right. Anyway, thanks for being here.